Now, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of AfroLatinos. This is your co-host, Aubyn.
And Chandler.
And we are back with a brand new episode, guys. And this is very special. This is an episode very special to my heart and to both of us because we have, well, to you, Cheney, because this is your show. Also, to me, because my grandfather is joining us on the show today. So everyone, audience, this is my grandfather, Hector Garcia. Hello, sir. How are you?
Fine, and you?
Oh, just great. Thanks so much for joining us.
Hi, Penny.
Hello.
Look, you're part of the family. Oh, there you go. You're part of the family already,
I
Jimmy.
got to let me.
Go ahead. I'll talk a little bit while you're getting yourself ready.
No, I just
All
got
right.
it. There was a phone call I had to kill.
Oh, okay.
Oh, sorry, you're recording. Oh, shoot.
That's okay. Listen, this stuff happens all the time. It's fine. We are not professional at all. So this episode, guys, is very special. We've done a lot of talking on this show about identity and about race and about how we feel and how we've grown up in discovering our identities and who we are. And so this week, we wanted to offer a new perspective. We've done a lot of talk because of convenience, I think, because of who our friends are and where we grow up. We've done a lot of exploring Blackness and exploring what that identity looked like, but we haven't done our due diligence enough, I think, to talk about the Hispanic side or the Latino side of our show also. And I don't want anyone to feel like they're being excluded. And so as our show is called AfroLatinos, we don't want to neglect the other half. And so Latino-ness or Hispanicness, I'm not sure the best word to use to describe it, but it is something that we all share and an identity that we all share. And so on this episode, I brought my grandfather on to talk about his experiences growing up. He was born in the Dominican Republic. He's been in the United States for 50 plus years. And so we wanted to look and see, you've heard Cheney talk about his life coming to the United States from Puerto Rico, within the last 10, 15 years. And so looking at the immigrant experience from a Hispanic country to the United States from an older perspective and just seeing how things are different. And we really are just interested in hearing, Pop, your thoughts on life, on America, on the immigrant experience, on your identity as a Dominican, what that means to you, and all of that. So, we're just going to let you tell your story, share whatever you'd like to share, and as questions arise or as things come up that we want to talk about, we'll jump in. But you're free to go.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I'll be brief in my experience in the Dominican Republic because I was there from my birth to 1964, which it puts me at 15 and a half years in the Dominican Republic. From what I remember, up until they killed the dictator in 1961, life in there was a struggle for our family, living under the dictatorship. Why? Because my father, we were not middle class. We were not the lower end of the middle, but we are like we were like professional. He was a tailor, so he was a little bit above in regards to the rest of to the lower class, not lower class per se, but the poor. We were above a little bit of poor. So anyway, but the problem we had was my father had a brother that he was anti-government, anti-dictatorship. So therefore, we were labeled. And that means that what that means is that you did not have many people that wanted to associate with you because they don't want to be singled out to be part of against the government. So, and we had a tailor shop. So therefore, if no one wants to visit you, you have no business because you're independent work. So little by little, one of the things that I have to say is that we were lucky in a sense that family, we pitch in, family pitch in, and if my father went to a brother or to an uncle or to somebody, so there was always in other words, we didn't have welfare. The welfare in the Dominican Republic was family help. So in the summer, what they used to do with us was we were four brothers, and they used to send us back. We would live in the city in Santo Domingo. So in the summer after school, because they couldn't afford to have us, so they used to send us to the capital, to Santiago, which is a city where both of my grandmother, my maternal and maternal grandmothers live. So they used to send us two to one side and two to the other side. So that's how we spent our summer. Every summer we would look forward to those trips, but we didn't know that why we were being sent there. But it was a summer vacation, and it was nice. We had the river, we had this, and and it was nice. But in any event, uh, uh, after they killed the dictator in 1961, our fate started changing. Why did I change it? Because now the history of my uncle, the one that was killed by the dictator, by the way, they used to put him in jail for 2 months, beat him up, then send him out, and then once he used to drink alcohol. So anytime that he got a few drinks, the first thing out of his mouth was talking about the government, and therefore there were people there on the street that they were called they used to tell the government, this guy saying this, or this guy said this, we call them chivatos, people that squeal on other people to be in good grace with the government. But anyway, after the last time that in a year, he probably went to jail about three times. And then one time they came in, I remember because I was staying with him at that time, and they came in over after midnight, maybe 2 or 3 in the morning, and they picked him up. And I remember that the commotion, that they tapped on the door and they said, "No, we know you are there, so come out." Barely I remember, but I was there. And they took him out, and that was the last time that we saw him, that anybody heard of him. So after that, so anyway, so now after they killed the dictator, now our fate started changing. I'm sorry, because why? Because now the general population now saw us as heroes, because we had someone that got killed opposing the government. So my father went to the U.S. Embassy. I remember that he was killed in 1961. So by the end of 61, he went to the United States Embassy, and they gave him a visa to come to America without just get a passport. And we're getting out of here to have a better life because of supposedly what we suffered, and it was true. We did suffer. I was the oldest, and in order to help, let's say I was like 14 or in the 4. I was working since 11. No, since 10. I was working after school and had to go to work. Why? To help with the family, to help to find the food or whatever. I was a tailor because my father was a tailor. So instead of going out to play, they teach me how to do tailoring, and I was working. And then at night, to get extra cash, there used to be an afternoon newspaper, so I sold newspapers. And on weekends, I shoe shine, but it was not out of for a kid getting an extra money, extra cash. No, it was to sustain the house. It was to eat. Because I remember one time I got home from school around 1 o'clock, and my mother was standing there. She said, "Hector, it's tough. We haven't got anything to cook yet." I said, "Oh, don't worry about it. I'll go." So I got my shoe shine box, and I went to the corner, and I remembered I got maybe like 25 cents in about an hour or two. So we went and bought the rice, beans, because it was cheap. And I remember specifically there was a factory of a chorizos factory. And what they did is they take the peel of the bones, and then they sell that because there was some meat in there. So I remember buying 10 cents of that. They give you like a bucket of bones. So my mother put boiling water through rice, through the beans. And guess what? By 4 o'clock, we were eating. So anyway, that's our life there. That's our life there. So you're never going to hear me say, even to this day, I don't eat this. We ate what was available. One of my brothers was the one that was picky eater. And he used to be, look at that. I'm even tearing up, remember these things. One of my brothers was one of the picky eaters. I guess what my father used to say to him is, Lita, my mother, the nickname for my grandmother, my mother was Lita. Lita, put him more in there. Because he said, I don't want this. He said, okay, save him more. And
you don't want this? Okay, have some more. All right, got it.
Yeah, that was it. But anyway, so now he had a visa. He came to America, but it was not an immigrant visa. It was a tourist visa.
Mm,
But he came here not as a tourist. He came to work.
sure.
They knew he was going to work, so he came to work. And then my mother stayed with us with the all four boys and her. She refused to come with him because she said, "I don't want to leave my kids with anybody. So either we all go or you go." To my father, "You go first. You square things out. You send us money, and we leave, and then we join you later." And that's what happened. That was the first time that now he came here. At the end of 1962, he sent us an old TV. He sent us a refrigerator. So see how our luck was started to change. Now we getting every month. He used to send us money from here. So now I bought a new bicycle because now I didn't need to work for the family. Now I can afford. I bought a brand new bike.
Right.
So things started to change, and we were not the talk of the town, but everybody just started visiting us. And that's how it is. So now, then in 1964, my father was able to straighten out his papers in here. He became a resident. A resident is the second step before you become a citizen. So, being a legal resident, then you can petition for your relatives, your wife, your children. Huh? So then we joined him in 1964. And now you want to talk about an experience. Now here I am, close to 16. We arrived on a Friday, I remember. And at the airport, we came through Puerto Rico. We came from Dominican Republic into Puerto Rico. Why? Because it was cheaper. No, it was cheaper to get here. So then in Puerto Rico, when we get off the plane, we had to go to this electric escalator. We were frightened. We hold on to the thing, and I was saying, "How this thing is moving," because we never seen that.
An escalator.
And it's an electric, yeah,
Yeah.
And so this man said to me, "Come on, get on. He's not going to bite you." I said, well, lucky for me, it was a Spanish fellow from Puerto Rico. So we got on it, and that was a treat. So you know what I did? I went back down on the other side just to come back up.
Just for fun. You might as well, right?
So anyway, so I'm in there. We're waiting for the connecting flight. I'm just telling you experiences, the things that how the different culture, different language.
Sure.
Even though in Puerto Rico the language we spoke the same language, with a different dialects, a different accent, but it's still Spanish. So here I am. I had a girl, well, not my girlfriend, but Yolanda, my current wife. She wasn't my friend, and I wanted to send her a postcard. So I had a postcard that I purchased there. And then I wrote and I put the lady showed me how to put the stamp and thing. And then she told me to go to the mailbox and put it in the mailbox. I'm standing there. She told me to go to the left, to do this. So I'm looking for the thing. I'm going crazy looking for a mailbox, but we don't call it mailbox in Dominican Republic. We call it el buzón. So there I am standing until I saw this policeman passing by. And I said to him, "Officer, could you, in Spanish, could you show me, I need to mail this. I'm looking for un buzón or un mailbox." He said, "Turn around." He said, "Hey, where is it?" He said, "Read what he says there." He said, male box. He said, "That's it. Just say it in English." He said, "Mailbox." I said, "Oh, okay." So I have a question there. Yes.
You came to the US in like the 60s, right?
64.
How was it? Because it was the 60s, 70s. The US was still kind of, they're not very friendly with the people of color back then. How was it like being here in that time? How did you grow up and stuff like that?
Well, it was okay, but it was not, especially in New York. We came to New York, a place that is called Corona in Queens, and there was a lot of Hispanics there, mainly Dominicans too. So we came to our with our people.
Mm.
So therefore, but I arrived on a Friday, and by Monday, I was in school. See, that I experienced, but I can be upfront with you. In my years in here, you know the distinction, and in school, everybody congregated with their own. But you didn't see no singling out. I'll be upfront with you, or I never experienced it. Okay, the best, and I see, and you're Puerto Rican, and I want to say this to you. Thank God that the Puerto Ricans they knew English, because they were our source. They were the ones that helped us tremendously.
Mm.
Because if you go to a hospital, you go to anywhere you go, the Spanish is not as prevalent as it is today. So they used to say, like, for instance, if you go to the Social Security office and need to fill out a form, the guy in the front will say, "Who speaks Spanish? Anybody speak Spanish?" And guess who will be there? A Puerto Rican. Let me tell you, that's without a doubt. Why? Because they were here first, and they knew the language, And there was a problem. No, not a problem, but they used to be, everybody that spoke Spanish to the American people in those days was Puerto Rican. No matter what language, if a Mexican, there were not that many Mexicans, but there was Colombians everywhere, and they would say, "Oh, it's a Puerto Rican." If they hear talk Spanish, they're Puerto Rican. Okay, and in school now, and in school, remember, I don't speak a word of English. So now here's my first day in school. In Dominican Republic or in other countries, you have your homeroom in school. The teachers go around to other classes, like to the Spanish class, to the math class. They walk around the halls. The students, you have your homeroom, and the teachers come to you. So the first day that I'm in there, and now I have to travel from one floor to another and look for this thing, I got lost. Okay, that's the first day. I got lost between going to room, and they gave me a thing with the room numbers and things of that nature. And now I want to go take a pee. I don't know where to go. But I saw some silhouette, and I figured, well, they looked like because he didn't say, he just say a silhouette with a skirt or a silhouette with a man. Guess what I went in? I went into the first thing that I get in, and that was a ladies' room, because I didn't know the difference. I go in, there were 3 or 4 girls in there, they all ran out. And I said, "Oh, well, maybe that's how they do it in America." They go out and we go in. So therefore, I did what I had to do. I come out, there are the 3 or 4 girls in there. There is the principal, there was the teachers. There was like about 7 people there. And I look at them and I look at mesmerized, and I said, "What the heck is going on?" And they started, I said, Espanol, and they said, so now no one in that group spoke Spanish. And there was one Italian guy, but he one who teaches Italian. He said something in there, but hey, they had to find this American girl that was taking Spanish. And they said, "Okay, look for Valerie." So I guess she was popular. So they looked for Valerie. So Valerie comes over, and she told me, she spoke, and she said, "¿Qué usted está haciendo ahí?" Digo yo quería orinar. I wanted to pee. And but that's not for boys, that's for girls. I don't know. Oh, and then she told me the difference. She pointed out to me, and I excused myself because they said it's his first day. So they went to the principal. The principal, yeah, his first day, blah, blah, blah. So they let me out. Well, they told me I have to read before I go in. Okay? Now, that same day now, that it's lunchtime. Now I go. I had another. We had a table with a Spanish guy, and he said, "Hey, Hector, come over here." I said, "Yeah. Oh." So in Spanish, okay. And I go into my father gave me 35 cents for lunch, and the lunch was cold lunch was 35, 40 cents was a hot lunch. So I go in and I said, "Geez, so I never seen so much food in my life." So I took my tray. I started putting things in that tray. I didn't know. I had no clue that it was only 35 cents or 40 cents. Now I only have 35 cents. So I went in there, I started putting things, and I loaded that tray. A sandwich, hot plate, milk, cake, everything in there. I go to my cashier, and I gave him my 35 cents. I said, here, I extended my hand with my 35 cents, and she started laughing. And everybody was laughing around me. And then she get out of the cashier's desk at the chair, turns around, take my tray, goes back to the food thing and start taking things on my tray, and left me with a sandwich, a piece of cake, and a milk. And she said, here. I said, oh, okay. I mean, not even okay. I didn't say, oh, thank you. But anyway, that was my experience. All right. Then I started getting used to it. We were in a school in school, and those days they had a English for foreign students.
Mm-hmm.
They gave us 2 hours of that. Okay, and now we were all from different countries, Haitian, English, I mean, Hindus, all kinds of people in there. I became acquainted with this fellow. We became good friends. This Italian fellow, he arrived the same time as me, so he was in the same predicament that I was. He, we used to communicate because he's in Italian, and now we started picking up, and then we became acquaintances and good friends. Yeah. In fact, we used to walk inside the building. We used to go from one class to another if we had the same classes. But outside, the difference in those things is outside, all the Hispanics, we used to get together and talk and get around, or go to the park to play basketball or baseball, or go to the pool hall, but everybody was in their group. But there was no animosity. We just in baseball or in basketball, we play against each other. See, that was the animosity. But not in a fighting word, but we were you pulling for yourself.
Competition. It was the competition.
Mainly competition. Okay, so there was no thing, none of that thing. So one time I went to the Hispanics used to live on this side of Corona, and the Italians, they live on the other side. But we used to get together at the park. The park was like in between, so that was, and everything was there at the park, the pool hall, the basketball play thing. So one time I walking around, and I wanted to see my friend. His name was Pellegrino, the Italian kid. And I went to his side of town, and I sat at the park where that particular park was in their side, of the Italian side. In fact, the Hispanics used to call it the Spaghetti Park. So, I got to go to Spaghetti Park. He said, be careful, Hector. The Spanish guy told me, he said, no, it's a friend. We are friends. Well, I'm there, and 3 Italian kids come over, and they confronted me. I'm sitting down, and they confronted me, and they started saying things in English, not in Italian, in English. And that's the first time that I heard that I am a speak. Because another guy said in Italian, he said, oh, don't leave him alone. He's a speak. In other words, I wasn't black. See?
Right.
So he's a speak. So I could pass because I'm not African American, according to them. Okay? So they left me alone. So when I went to school the next day, I asked this fellow, this Dominican guy that's been here for close to a year. So he knew the language, and he was more familiar, because I'm talking to you like within 2 or 3 weeks of being in America. And I said to him, Luis, why did this guy call me a speak? He said, oh, that's how they call us, the Hispanics. They call us speak. And I said, well, what do you call the Italians? He said, oh, we call them Guineas. I said, okay. So the next time I saw my friend Peregrino, I said, do you know that you're a Guinea? He started laughing. He said, yeah, I know, and you speak. I said, okay. So we just laugh it off. So that was my beginning. And then, but I'll be upfront, and I can tell you that I did not experience, even though there was racism in New York, has always been more under the cover than anything else. It was only a matter of how your behavior. That's what distinguished. That's the only distinction that I can remember. If you're a rebel or whatever it is, and you always with a chip on your shoulder, you have problems no matter what. You're gonna have problems. But anyway, I never experienced any direct discrimination. I was a polite kid, so I don't know. That was the thing. Later on in life, as I grew up, I did experience some discrimination, and sad to say, it was in Harlem twice, but it was because I was Hispanic in Harlem, and the first time was later on when I started, a number of years in America, so I started working for an airline, and this flight attendant, we became friends, and she was from Sweden, and as you know, the Swedish people are very blondish and things like that. But she said to me, Hector, do you mind going to Harlem? I want to see that place, okay, and I want to eat soul food. And I said, well, I don't know much about Harlem, but I can take you. They said, so in one of his flights, she didn't live in New York. She just stood here for maybe a day or two, and then she was stationed in Denmark. So one day she said, oh, Hector, I'm going to spend 3 days in New York. So do you mind if you take me to Harlem? I said, of course. So we went to Harlem, and we went to this place where they had a sign that said soul food. So we went in. As we walk in, there was a bar at the entrance there, and there's some patrons at the bar. And I tell you, everybody just look up. And I said, what the heck? I guess that's what they say. So we stood up near where the restaurant was, which is about, you walk away from the bar and the restaurant is there. And everybody just looked at the waitress, just told me, said, to just a moment, she'll be with us in a moment. We stood there for about 3 or 4 minutes. And then she came and sat us on the table. And then she gave us the menu. And that was the end of that. She just walked around. She greeted people, come in. She was serving here. She was serving there. We were there for about, I'm going to say, maybe exaggerating now, but I'm going to say about 20 minutes. From 15 to 20 minutes. And this lady did not even come close to say, what do you want? Not even a glass of water or anything. So I said to my friend, I said, listen, we got to get out of here. Not because of me, but I think it's because of you. She said, but why? She said, why? I'll tell you later. So we got up, and you know that the waiter didn't come up and said to me, oh, excuse me, or anything. No. As we were walking out, there was a guy at the bar. He turns around and said to me, why don't you take her where she belongs? I said, okay. I said, that's those words. Always remember, he said, why don't you take her where she belongs? Wow. I said, okay. So we left, and then I explained to her, I said to her, look around. How many people of your color you see around here? And she said, well, I thought Harlem was hip. I said, Harlem is hip, but not for you. I made light of it. But that was one of the few times. And the second time was, I used to work with this fellow, African-American fellow, and we were very friendly. So he had a party at his house. His nickname was Pie Man. So he invited me to the party, and it was 116 in Harlem again. And I went to the party, and at that time, I used to have my hair, shiny, and, like in those days, those are the style. It was not, you didn't cut your hair.
Right.
You try to have your hair with the grease, and you look straight, shiny. So guess what? I'm Hispanic, and that's how my hair was at those times. So I went in there, and I went to his house, and it was a house party, and this lady came in and started talking to me. She wanted to know who I was. I said, oh, you're Hispanic, and then she said, oh, you have nice hair. I said, oh, thank you. And then she asked if I wanted anything to drink. I said, yeah, I'm having a beer. So we started a conversation, and this other guy comes in, which happened to be either her boyfriend or her friend. And she said to him, what are you talking to him for? And she said, oh, he's a nice fellow. His name is Hector. I don't care what his name is. Yeah, he's Latino. I don't care what his name is. Why are you talking to him? Okay. And then he asked me, "Are you from around here?" I said, "No, I'm from Queens." What? Well, you got no business in Queens. You got no business in Harlem. You know, go get your own. You go. What did he say? He used the word either senoritas or something like that. So when you go after your own senoritas, and the girl was very polite. She said to him, "Oh, come on, don't be nasty. What's your problem?" But I went to Pie Man and I said, "Pie Man, I'm sorry, I got to leave." He said, "Why, Hector? You just got here a few minutes ago." I said, "No, I got to leave. I don't feel well." But I left. And then when we went back to work, he was a co-worker, and I told him, I said, "Oh, you didn't pay attention to those guys, man." He probably had a few drinks. I understand that, but I didn't want any. I don't want confrontation. I don't want confrontation. Okay?
Right.
So that's what it was. It was mostly like territorial.
Mm-hmm.
That I experienced, and I experienced a third time. See, I wasn't married then, this girl from El Barrio. El Barrio was Harlem, but on the other side, the Hispanic Harlem they call it. See, because Harlem was divided into the west side was a Harlem African American, the east side is Harlem Hispanic, Latin American. So guess what? This girl, she wanted to go out to a movie. She wanted to go to a movie, and she asked me to pick her up. I didn't have a car, but I went by train. As I got off the train, again, two guys that looked like hoodlum and whatever it was, but they were not. They were looking for problems. Mm-hmm. They came in and they approached me, and they asked me, "You don't look like you from around here. Where you from, boy?" I say, "I'm from Queens." And I'm very polite. "I'm from Queens. What are you doing around here?" "Well, I'm gonna pick up my friend, and we're gonna go to the movies." "Who is your friend?" I didn't even say to him, "What do you care?" Because I didn't want to antagonize those guys, because there were two, one to the left and one to the right. And I said, "Well, I came here to pick up so and so." He said, "No, these are our girls. You don't come here to pick up our girls. Especially, where are you from?" I said, "I'm from Queens." He said, "No. You go to Queens and get your girl from Queens. You don't come in here to get our girls." Okay. So if you want, and then he says something menacing. If you do something that. So anyway, I left. I went down to the subway. I called her up, and I said, "Listen, do you want to come down? I'm waiting you at the subway station." He said, "There is some guys in there. They don't want you to go out with anybody from other than here." And she said, "Oh, come on, Hector, you paying attention to those guys?" "I'm paying attention because those guys look menacing. And life," I say, "I'm not here for trouble. And it's best, that's been my motto. And it's best, if you can avoid trouble, avoid it. That doesn't make me less of a man or more of a man. If I can help it, then of course." Because in Dominican Republic, I was a fighter, because we used to live in neighborhoods that were aggressive. As a matter of fact, I still have a mark in my forehead of my last fight in Dominican Republic, that I was beating this guy, and somehow another guy came in with a piece of wood and hit me in the head in there. But I was beating this guy because I used in there, when you live in some neighborhoods, everybody, you have to, and I was tall. And one of the things on you're tall is the shorter guys, it's like a feather in their cap if they can beat up a tall guy, because they have the Napoleonic complex.
Always scam.
But
I think that was his computer. I don't know.
What the heck?
What was that, Jenny?
I don't
I'm putting him to bed to sleep.
No, something pressed on my computer and it started speaking for itself. I don't know what it was.
Okay. Anybody have any questions?
I do.
Yeah, go ahead.
How long did it take you to learn English?
Well, in those days, it took me, I'm going to say 3 months to comprehend and to understand, because in those days, there was no Spanish television, and very few people spoke English. So, and in school, they gave you 2 hours, and then everywhere you went, you always with somebody that spoke the language. But do you have to speak English? The third time I did another incident in school. I forgot about it. In the English class. Now they moved me after this is after 2 or 3 months they took me. I was getting Spanish, English for foreign students, but I was also I'm sorry, it was in the geography class that the teacher was this tall fellow, Mr. Kinman. That was his last name. So one time I wanted to go to take it to the bathroom, and I asked the guy next to me. His name was Louis. Since this the guy that was here for much longer than I was. I said, Louis, how do I ask Mr. Kinman permission to go to the bathroom? He said, oh, that's easy. Just raise your hand and say, Mr. Kinman, son of a bitch. So guess what I did? Yes, Garcia. He used to mimic because he wanted us to learn. Yes, Garcia, stand up. I said, Mr. Kinman, son of a bitch. Oh, he turned red. He walked over to me, grabbed me by the arm, drove me down to the principal's office. They had to call my translator, and then after all said, Louis got suspended for a week. I said, I don't know. I wanted to go to that, and Louis told me to say this. And you don't know what that is? I said, I don't know. I thought I was going asking permission to go to the bathroom. No. Hey, but anyway, so then at that point, they come up with this small dictionary, and the teacher, the principal, opened my arms like this, put the dictionary in here, and then he lowered my arm and said, see that? Everything, everywhere you look up in there, don't ask anybody. You look it up in the dictionary, and then you do what you have to do. But I don't want to see you without that dictionary. That's it. No more. He told Valerie, was that my translator, Valerie. And they also come up with a thing that they put me in some of Valerie's classes. Plus my 2 hours of foreign student, my geography, and they put me, I think it's 1 or 2 of her classes. So I stayed out of trouble from there. From then on, I was here. But anyway, it took me like 3 months to comprehend. And then my other 2 brothers, the youngest one, they picked up the thing in a month and a half. They were very good at it. Mm. You know, the one that follows me, him and I, we took longer because I was 15 and a half and he was like 14, so it took us longer. But it was good in those days. And I tell you another thing that because I started to enjoy things in my neighborhood. In the street where they have all the merchants and all the businesses, I saw there was a sign that says "Se habla español." Instead of speaking, "Se habla español," because everybody spoke English. So I said, "Oh, let me have some fun in here." So I went in and I asked the lady who's the guy that speaks Spanish. So they pointed out to this fellow, and we started talking, and they saying, "Hello, how you doing? Where you from?" Okay. And then he said to me, what can I do for you? He said, no, nothing. I just want to speak Spanish. He said, what the heck you doing? Get out of here. I'm working, man. Well, the sign said, se habla español. Yeah. I know, but if you want to buy. I said, okay. But anyway, I have fun. I tell you, I have fun. Maybe it's my demeanor, but I was able to mix up with each group. I had no problem. I was very, like from school, this girl Valerie, okay, she invited me to a house party at her house, and at that time, the Beatles were very popular. Okay, now Valerie was African American, so everybody at her party was African American, of course, and I show up with an album. An album is what I don't know if you guys know what an album is. It's like a cassette. No, it's when you have an album is those plastic things that you play with the thing. And guess what? Guess what I show up with? The Beatles. Mm-mm. Nobody there wanted any part of the Beatles because that's.
I still don't.
I didn't show up with Marvin Gaye. I didn't show up with the Temptation. I didn't show up with Little Richard and the Miracles. The Beatles albums, A Hard Day's Night, and almost all night long I tried to play a song from the Beatles. Guess what? No, they said, no, Hector, later.
I have a couple questions.
Go ahead.
I'm trying to think of the order that I want to ask them. So while we're on the topic of, I guess, getting along and English and learning, I guess that's a good place to go next. So obviously, and I didn't say this at the beginning, but this is my mom's dad. And so, you had 3 kids, right? So you have Hector, you have my mom, and then you have Alvin. So growing up, she always told me stories of growing up in New York and growing up with the family. So all of your kids had to learn English, right? So they all speak English perfectly and none of them really have much of an accent, a Spanish accent, because they grew up, I guess, speaking English. But what was it like growing up? Because even grandma, she doesn't, Mumu doesn't speak much English. She's getting a lot better now, but what was that like? Because you spoke English and you raised your kids to speak English, but my grandma, she doesn't and didn't for so long. So what was that like at home?
Well, the problem that was not a problem, but here it is. My wife, that was my fault because I sheltered her. Okay, so she did not have to. I did everything. I had to take the kids, my children, since they were born. I'm the one that took them to school. I'm the one that, because I used to work afternoon, so I had the whole morning. So I'm the one that took them to the doctors. I'm the one that did everything. Their first day of school, kindergarten, whatever, it was me. So I was always there. Hector, my oldest, he did not speak English. When I put him in school in first grade, he went to kindergarten, so that doesn't matter. But in first grade, at that time, the government came up with this thing that they're going to teach Spanish to anybody with a Spanish surname. They were going to put them in bilingual classes. But I had a lawyer, a friend, and she was Italian, and we were good friends. And she said to me, "Listen, the government come up with a mandate to give bilingual education to anybody with a Spanish surname. Don't let them do that to your children, because I'm going to tell you what are they doing. They want to keep your race down. And by doing that, why I'm saying this? Because now your child is going to grow up in America, which is an English-speaking country, and he's going to speak. What does he need Spanish in the business world? In his English. So therefore, my child is going to be the head of the office, and your kid is going to be subservient. So no, she said, no, Hector, don't let them do that to your kid. Your kid is American. He was born in the U.S. Okay, so his name is Garcia, but that doesn't mean that he had to take, because that was a lower class education. It was not at the same level as the other, and that's what they're trying to do. So I went to the principal, and I told the principal that I didn't want my child in bilingual classes. He said, "Why not? It's a mandate." I said, "Yeah, but I don't want him in there. If I had to sign anything, I'll sign it." So reluctantly, he gave me the form and I signed it. So they took Junior, that's my oldest, out of that, and they put him in regular classes. Junior, I said, in 1 month, I'm going to say, he was talking English like the rest of the kids. And then the same thing with Darlene. Darlene, I didn't experience that because I knew from the beginning I don't want her. But the other thing that we had is that my wife's mother and my mother, they used to babysit for us. So therefore, they didn't speak English. So the kids, they had to speak Spanish. So their first language in all of them was Spanish. Mm-hmm. They learned English at school, in first grade, whatever. But that's what they know. But they were little. So my oldest one, my youngest kid, he did not like Spanish. So therefore, he was reluctant. Alvin, he was reluctant to speak Spanish. But when he was with his grandmother, he had to, So I told, for instance, Yolanda's mother, I told her, I said, listen, when he asks you for something, don't hand it to him. Let him ask you, because otherwise he's never going to learn Spanish because he doesn't like it. So, and I said to her, see the milk? Don't put it on the lower shelf. Put it on the top shelf. Let him call you and ask you to give you leche. See, so I did that because that's why if you talk to him Spanish, he has an accent. Well, yeah, but he missed the verbs, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But because he never liked it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. About 5 years ago, he had a job, and Yolanda's friend had a restaurant. They were looking for someone to take orders. They needed someone that speaks English and Spanish because it was a restaurant, and he quit in 2 days. You know why he quit? I don't understand those Spanish people because they're from El Salvador, and I don't understand what they say. It was a problem. It's a hard time to understand what these people are talking about. But anyway, but that's why they spoke Spanish at the beginning, and I'm sure. And also, see, I was very protective of them. Okay, and after the bilingual thing, then the government came up with a thing that like busing. They were busing kids from poor neighborhoods to bring them to white neighborhood or to better schools. And again, my friend called me and he told me, Hector, the same thing. Okay, you know what to do? I said, of course I know what to do. I went back to the principal because they busing him from where we live to another neighborhood, okay, where they have better school. And now those kids were exposed because you see it on the TV, the other parents demonstrating because they're bringing this kid over to our school. They're damaging our school. They got kids with, see? And I saw that one day. There was, it used to call it busing, bus kids from one school to another. So I went back to the principal. I said, I don't want my kid to be bused. He said, well, that's a federal mandate. I said, I don't care. It's my child. So what are you going to do? I said, I'm going to take him out of school. If he had to be bused from here, then I'm taking him out of school. And then he said, well, they're going to send the cops to you. But I'm not saying he's not going to school. He's just not coming to this school. He's going to go to another school. Mm-hmm. So I put him in parochial school. So I still feel that smirk on his face because he thought he won. And I said, no, he's not coming to this school, but he's going to go to another school. Okay. So I put him in the parochial school. Okay. And I tell you how protective I was, because I know that schooling is the main thing. The schooling is the thing that breaks the barrier that breaks discrimination.
Right.
Okay. That's the thing. That's the barrier that no matter how vicious you are, when you say to someone, you treat him politely, you say good morning, sir. Well, it's my belief. Okay, education is the key to overcome all those things and show these people that we're not like what they think they are. Mm-hmm. But anyway, I went to the parochial school, and then Darlene also went to there. And now the other problem we were having is that we started on those days there was a lot of demonstrations in other communities. I know they were burning Brooklyn, they were burning the Bronx, they were burning here, and now all those people were running from those places and they were coming to our neighborhood. And I saw that, I said, oh no, we got to get out of here. So that's how we end up on Long Island. I said, we got to go to the better schools where we have control of the school, because in here we pay for the school. But it's better education. But it's more, I got to tell you, there was not, and it's true. We have a cousin that was born the same day that my oldest son was born, and he stayed in that school district, and Hector was here. Unfortunately, he picked up all the bad vibes of the neighborhood, because all these people were coming in with the drugs, with the thing, with the down, and the neighborhood went down when they hit. And this kid today, he took so much of that drug and things that his brain was toasted, and to this day he lives in one of those warehouses. What do they call it? Some of those houses where they put these people that, you know. So that's sad. But
Yeah.
why? He did not have. Well, it was unfortunate because his father abandoned the family, so he didn't have the male force to help him out. But anyway, what was your other question?
The other question was, so you talked about kind of your experience and you not experiencing discrimination, racism, any of that kind of stuff in America. I've heard
not directly, okay?
Right, not directly to you, but I've heard things about the Dominican Republic, and I just wanted to know if it's true or if this was your experience while you were there. Was there discrimination even within, like, so a couple episodes ago we talked with two women of color. One is an immigrant from Liberia and another one is Black. She's from Philly. And, we talked about this idea of colorism. So even within a race, some people have a negative feelings towards darker complexions compared to lighter complexions, even though they may be Black. The color spectrum, if you will, some people have problems in between that. Did you experience any of that in the Dominican Republic? Like, when I think about, for example, yourself and Abuela, I call her Mumu Cheney. That's in everyone.
Mm-hmm.
That's the name I've called my grandmother since forever. So you're much darker complexion than she is. So
yes.
Was there any, when you guys were starting to get together, was there animosity there? Was it a problem? Was there, we think about interracial relationships and how at the beginning of, when that really started to be a thing, I guess, I don't know what they say, but there's sometimes problems with that. So was there any type of issues in the DR or here with yourself? Was that your experience? If that makes sense?
Well, I want to tell you about Dominican Republic. Dominican Republic, okay, they have historically, okay, they have a problem with the dark skin. To them, okay, they don't. Dominican Republic during the dictator, he wanted to lighten up the race. Okay, and what he started doing, he started importing Europeans, because he wanted to to lighten up the race, and even though he was well, I'm not going to say he was white but he used to powder himself, so you never saw him in a dark complexion. But he was light skinned, but according to him he was white, and yet in his family, one of his brothers from the same father, from the same mother, he was dark. He was the only one dark. So Dominicans, and they also have a problem with Haitians. Haitians are dark skinned. They are Black. Mm-hmm. Okay? Dominicans, they don't consider themselves Black. They used to change, if, like, for instance, in your identification during the dictator, nobody put Black in there in their documentation. Everybody put either light Indian or dark Indian. In other words, they have this thing, they don't want to be labeled Black. Mm-hmm. Okay, and that's a history. Dominican Republic has a lot of discrimination, and how they discriminate, they're not going to discriminate you, but they do. They have, oh, look at this Black guy. Even on television, if you look at the television in the music, in the right, but it's considered like it's not considered discrimination, but they point it out. Mm-hmm. Okay. In fact, I used to remember a saying during the dictatorship. I used to remember that dictatorship that they used to say that being white is a profession. In other words, you don't need to study. If you're white, that's all you need. It's like a profession. And it was true. They had a guy at a television, at one of the television stations. They had this guy that was but he could consider like he could be considered white because he's got very fair skin, and yet this guy was he used to guys the greet the people and that's one of the example that it was pointed out. Why does he have that job? Because he was white. He couldn't read, he couldn't write, but he was white. So one time I always have those arguments with my friends because we do have two families and they both, you have like, for instance, on my father's side, it was the darker ones, and then my mother's side is the white ones. Okay. And then I took an uncle of mine. One time we were in Santo Domingo and we were having that discussion. And I said, okay, let's go to where all the merchants and all the businesses are. And you're going to see that the people up front are all light skinned. The people in the back, the messengers, the one cleaning the floor, they're all dark skinned. And we were arguing that. So we went to about 3 banks and businesses. And he said, Jesus, yeah, you're right. I said, yeah, they don't discriminate, but they do it. Like, for instance, if you were going to get a job and they have on the newspaper, you know how the newspaper would say, we need receptionists. Please, if you don't send a current photograph, do not send the application. What do you think they were looking for? Your complexion. No, your complexion. The same thing, they discriminate about the hair. People in America don't know that, but the hair. If your hair was, I'm going to use like the kinky, no matter what color you are black. Okay. They have this thing which is wrong, but that's what they are. Oh, and I'm going to tell you something that I'm going to tell you this, because before I came here, in there with the sun beating on you 365 days a week, you're going to be dark. Well, right. In my documents, I used to put down when the color. I used to put light Indian until I came to America. This is when in 1965 I had to register, because in those days they had the selective service. Everybody 18 and over had to register for. At 18 you had to register for the army. So I registered and I went to the base. They give you an indoctrination and tell you what you are, how good of a citizen you are, because you blah blah blah. When I fill out my application, the thing said, when it came to race, it said white, black, and then said other. In those days, that's what they had, other. So guess what I checked? I checked other. Because to me, I was light Indian. I was not black. According to me, I was not black, and I wasn't white. So the room is full of people, and then the sergeant comes up, and he said, Hector Garcia. I said, yeah. He said, I'm going to paraphrase to you what he said. What is this shit other? I said, well, I'm Hispanic. He said, bullshit. You're black. I said, thank you, sir. No, I said to him, thank you, sir. The whole room just bursted laughing. I said, okay. I was in 65, so my English was comprehensible, but I was still learning. I didn't have not even a year, and then later on they said, those who stand up, those who do not speak English properly. I stood up, and he said to me, you know what he said to me? He said, I said, what is your name? I said, Hector Garcia. You speak English. Don't worry about it. And then he said, don't worry, the Vietnamese don't speak English either, so you'll be okay. Because there was a war against Vietnam in those days. So he said, don't worry, the Vietnamese don't speak English either, so you'll be okay. You're not going to need English in there. So anyway, so to this day, I think I'm the only Dominican that everywhere I put black, and everywhere I put African American black. And one time when I went to work for TWA, when I was filling out my application, the lady that was taking the application, she was a Latina, and she said to me, Hector, why did you put black? You're not black. I said, listen to me. I said, listen, don't try to confuse me here. The sergeant said that I was black, and I'm sticking with that, okay? I'm sticking with that. I'm black. It's okay? So forget about it. Don't tell me that I'm not black, okay? I don't. I went over there. I went over that. So anyway, to this day, that's my race. You know, ethnicity I put Latin, yes, but race I put black. I had no problem with that. No. But in the Latin community, there's mostly class discrimination, yes, and color discrimination to some extent. You're gonna get invited to people. You're gonna get invited to the party. You're gonna get invited to this, but if you, I'm telling you what about back then. If you bring, let's say, for instance, a white girl brings it to their family, she's going to have some repercussion. She's going to have some saying about the family. She's going to have, because my own grandmother, my mother's mother, they were Spaniards. So they are, fair complexion, they're Spaniards, okay? That's their background. And you know what she told me one time? To marry a light-skinned woman to better the race. And I'm sad to say that, but I mean, that's what she told me. I said, oh, no. What's the difference? She said, no, because, yeah. I said, okay. But yet, you guess who she married? My grandmother on her side, on my mother's side, she had 3 different husbands. One of them was as dark as charcoal. So I asked her, so why did you marry this guy? So it's because of him that we came out black. And she said, well, I didn't have a choice. I have, but they do. They, I'm not saying that they discriminate you, but they do. There's distinction. Okay,
right?
There is.
Okay,
there's distinction. There is distinction, but they look for all kinds of things. The hair, even guys that are fair skinned, but that could pass as white, if their hair is not, it's like a little kinky. I don't know if I'm disrespecting anyone by saying that was a word, but I'm going to tell you what, because I'm talking from the past. Okay, they will not consider him if he had fine hair, he could pass as white. But if he didn't have that white hair, no, they had another name for him. Okay, they had this station for everything, and they have music. They have the merengues were like that, But anyway, go ahead, ask me a question. I'd rather you guys ask me a question.
Can you have anything else to ask? Anything that comes to mind?
No, sir.
I think the one thing, and we've kind of touched on it, I think, a couple of times, but just as a kind of a way to wrap up, so we can, we don't want to keep you all day, because I'm sure you could tell the stories all day.
Problem. Listen, I'm enjoying this.
I'm gonna speak for both of us, but I'm enjoying listening. This is, we don't often get to have these conversations, but what does I don't know how to ask it right. What does it mean to you to be Dominican? Like, how does that shape who you are? How has it shaped your life? Why do you feel like that is important to you, if that makes any sense as a question?
Well, I'm a naturalized U.S. citizen, but I'm Dominican, because I was born there, and I can proudly say that no, I'm Dominican. I don't. I will adhere to the U.S. Okay, but I have to say that I'm Dominican because I was born there. And I asked that to my oldest brother, my oldest son. I asked him that question. He said, "Why did you identify with Dominicans?" He said, "Well, because of you. You were born there." I said, "Okay." So Hector, he's like his merengue, he like the Latin music, he like, and he was born here. So it's a tradition. Let's say tradition. Let's say tradition. And a lot of people condemn the Dominican Republic for being for discriminate against the Haitians, but I used to think that way also until I had a reunion with some friends one time that I went to the Dominican Republic in a family gathering, and I was defending the Haitians, and then they cleared it out for me. They said, "Hector, it's not so much we discriminate against the Haitian because of their color, because Dominicans are the same color. It's called patriotism. Because remember that Haiti invaded the Dominican Republic, and they ruled the Dominican Republic for 22 years. So they had to fight the Haitian and throw. They took over the Dominican Republic, and they wanted everybody. They stopped the intermarriages. They wanted to stop the Spanish language. They wanted everybody to speak Creole and Haitian, because according to them, the island belongs to them, the whole island. So we threw them out in 1844, and today the Dominican Republic celebrates Independence Day from Haiti, because it's true, they had to throw them out, and that's when became Dominican Republic. So they became a republic by throwing them out, and see. So they cleared it out for me, because I was because they were saying a whole bunch of bad things, and they said, but it's not so much discrimination, because if you look at the Dominicans and you stand the Haitian next to Dominican, dark Dominican, it's the same thing. But they say it's patriotism. That's the same thing. And the dictator, in his haste to clear the race, or to make it I don't know, to become less black. In 1937, the Haitians were moving crossing the border, just like the Mexican crossed the border. Well, he sent the army to the border to kill any Haitian. They gave him an ultimatum: either you go back, or they kill him. And they did. They did a massacre there. And now he sent the guard that he sends there. They were all black. So how do you distinguish who is a Dominican black or Dominican Haitian? They used to be, because they speak Creole or French. They have it. There is certain words in Spanish, like for instance, they cannot say the R's in the French language. They cannot say the R, the double R. So what did they have? They used to stop a guy that was dark skinned, and they asked him, say ferrocarril. He couldn't say it, so he was Haitian. So they either kill him or throw him, put him in a truck, and send him back to Haiti. Wow. And they kill a lot of people. Up to this day, I don't think anybody knows the amount of people that he was killed. But there is the Dominican and the Haitians. They always had that thing. But Dominicans per se, they're good. They're good people, because most of the Haitians that are living in the Dominican Republic, they don't have papers, and they get them jobs. They're better workers than the Dominicans. But the Dominicans are playing dominoes, and the Haitians are working. So you figure that out. So most of the construction in there is done by Haitians. But anyway, that's the history of the Dominican Republic. It's a very complex history in the geography, and also in the race. They pay too much attention to the color. If you look at Dominican TV, you're gonna see it mostly European looking people, and you're gonna see some black, but menial roles and things of that nature. But that's okay. Yeah, that's okay. In there. But like they have like a role. Like for instance, if you look at the army is mostly dark Dominican. If you look at your music, it's mostly dark Dominican. But if you look at your bankers and your things of that nature, and the guys in power in the government, not dark Dominican. There was a time in 2000, in the 1985 or 1990, in there. In fact, of the history of the Dominican Republic, there's only has been one dark-skinned president in their history of 200 years. Okay, and what happened in the 1980 or 1985, somewhere in there was this guy that was very popular, and but he was very, very dark, and he won the election. And you know that the current president nullified those elections. saying what Trump was saying. They said there was fraud, so they nullified the election, and with the help of the U.S. government, because there was going to be like a revolution, they came in and they came up with an agreement, so they had to celebrate another election. Okay, so the guy that won at that time was a little like my color, something to that effect. A little, yeah. So that was acceptable. The other guy was not acceptable.
Wow.
By the oligarchs. So it goes to show you. So there had never been a real African American type. Only one. You know, he was not a good president, but it was only been one. He was not a good guy. He was a dictator.
Right.
He was a dictator. You know. So anyway, so how being a Dominican, I'm proud of it. For two reasons. In the 60s, when Dominicans started immigrating after the killing of the dictator, most of the Dominicans that came to this country were hard workers in the factories, in the businesses, and in the and they used to the factories. All you have to say, if you're working in the factory, all you have to say to the foreman is, "Listen, I have a cousin that's coming in from Dominican Republic. He's looking for a job," and all they said to him, "Oh, bring him over." That's all they said. Why? Because they knew they were hard workers, and they were very industrious, businesslike. Okay, and that's one of the things that we say about the Puerto Ricans were here first, and then when Dominicans started coming in, the Puerto Ricans started hiring them to run their bodegas and their businesses. And next thing is, like, I'll give you an example of New York. All the bodegas, you know what a bodega is, right? Like the place where you work. That's what a bodega is. But all the bodegas in here in the Bronx, in Brooklyn, Manhattan, and Queens, owned by people from Puerto Rican descent because they spoke English and they knew. So the mistake that they made was that they hired the Dominican to run their bodegas, to run their businesses, and next thing is they bought them out. So today in New York, if you find 5 people, well, now the Hindus are coming in and the Pakistanis, so they're taking over now. But most of the bodegas and the supermarkets in New York City, are owned by Dominicans. You know, so they're very industrious. You give them a break, and they're going to take advantage of that. You know, because they're workers. I mean, they're very industrious. But that was a mistake that most of the people from Puerto Rico, when they own those businesses, that they made. So they put them in charge, and then next thing is they own the you know. But because they were nice people. I mean, the business they were nice. They were going to hire these people, and they were good workers. So, but anyway, any other question? I'm open.
I actually, for once, think I'm out of questions.
Huh?
I said for once I don't think I don't think I have anything else to ask. I think I'm all questioned out.
Yeah, but anyway, anyways, as far as the race relation here with me with in the United States, once I started, I can tell you that I have not. No, I have not, and I have most of the people at work. I had an incident when I started working for this company called an airline called Pan Am, and the very first day that I reported there, we started in the mailroom. I used to be a typist, and then I was downgraded to the mailroom, and the fellows that were there, I'm going to say to you, there were maybe, let me see, 3 African American and 2 Hispanics, and me, and then another guy from Mexico. So 3 African Americans, 2 Hispanics, and about 10 guys. The rest are white. The foreman, everybody was white. So the first day I come in, the manager introduced me to everybody. The white guys said to me, "Hector, we're going to show you lunch. Come with us. We're going to go to lunch." And I noticed that in the cafeteria, all the whites got 2 tables, and they all sat in one table, and they invited me with them. the Hispanic guy was sitting in another table by himself, and the three African Americans were in a table. But they invited me to go upstairs, and they showed me the cafeteria, and they sat with them. We went, yeah, okay. You know, so when I went downstairs, the three African American guys, they said to me, "What? We're not good enough for you to sit with us?" I said, "Well, they invited me to sit with them. Why didn't you guys come over?" He said, "Oh no, we don't sit with those guys." I said, "Well, then you know." So that's what I was sitting, and and we were friends downstairs. We kid around and everything. One guy was a Panamanian, and one other guy was from the south, I think it was. Two other ones were from the south. What I'm saying is, I don't know why. But like, for instance, the guy that got me this house, the location, when I was looking for a house, I had no clue about Long Island. The only time that I crossed the border to come to Long Island was one time that I came to the beach. So this fellow, who was of German descent, we were good friends in the airlines, and we became good friends anyway. He invited me to his house, and then one time I was telling him that I wanted to leave Queens because of the problem with the school, and he said to me, "Oh, you got to go to Long Island," and he brought me to Long Island to his house. He showed me around, and then he said to me, "I'm going to find you a place where you're going to be comfortable. We're not going to have the problems of Long Island, because he knew there's a problem." He said, because some people in Long Island, they don't know, they label everybody the same. Some people in Long Island don't know who's a nice guy, they just look at your color or your origin. Exactly what he told me. He said, I don't know. So he said, but don't worry, I'm going to find an area for you where your children are not going to have problems. Your children are not going to be labeled or picked on because of your nationality. And he did. He took a map and he brought me a map and he circled and said, "Hey, Hector, this is where you have to go, to this area. Don't go to the south. These guys are Jewish and they are very discriminatory." As a matter of fact, the agent that was looking for a house for us, he never showed me a house down by the highway that divided two places. Never. He showed me north only. And I used to ask him, I said, "What can you?" He said, "No, that's not good for you. It's too expensive." He always got an excuse. But anyway, I did that. And when I moved to this house, Aubyn and Tandy, and when I moved to this house, we were the only people of color to move in my house that I live on today. All the surrounding houses were owned by white people. And 3 months after we moved here, 3 to 4 months after we moved here, the guy across the street had a reunion. You know what they called that reunion? To get to know the new neighbor. So they had like a party. They had hors d'oeuvres, things, prices and things, and some drink. And they invited me, my wife, and I brought the kids. And everybody was raving about, I don't know what was raving about us, that we have improved the property, we cleaned up, we did this. He said the house hasn't been, the outside hasn't been like that. And I said to myself, wait, what? So it goes to show you, discrimination. See, they thought that in their mind, but let's say this guy is going to come in, and next thing is going to be this, they're going to damage the neighborhood. On the contrary, they said. They said that it's been an improvement. The house hasn't been that clean, blah, 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 blah. So I appreciated that. And in fact, the gentleman across the street used to take Darlene and Hector and take him to the amusement park with his grandkids. They used to pick them up and say, okay, So we never had any problem in here, not any problem whatsoever. Yeah. But that's life. That's my story. I cannot say that I cannot be blind to say that it doesn't exist. Yes, it does. It exists. It exists. Yeah. I just, in case I'm not sure if I'm going overhead, but I'm going to tell you something that happened. That same fellow, the one that found me the house here, he was getting married, and he wanted me to be in his bridal, in the marriage, what do you call that?
In the bridal party, yeah.
In the bridal party. But he also told me that his father-in-law was very, very racist. He told me, he said, Hector, but I'm gonna show them off. You're gonna be there because you're a nice fellow, blah, blah, blah. I said, Bob, his name was Bob. I said, Bob, I'm gonna be at your wedding. But I don't want you to start your marriage, and a clash with your father-in-law. Because you know that there's gonna be talk.
Right.
So I'm gonna be at your wedding. That's not a problem, but I'm gonna be as a guest, not that because what you're doing is you're challenging him.
Sure.
And that, I don't think that's good. I don't think that's good. Okay. Well, needless to say, I was at the wedding, and of course, I wouldn't pay attention to any of that. Yolanda and I, we were younger, much younger then, so we were having a ball. We were laughing, we were dancing. And that man came over and he said to me, "Oh, you Bob's friend?" I said, "Yes, I am." He said, he extended his hand and he said, "Are you having fun?" I said, "Well, you can see that I'm having fun." He said, "Oh, you're." What did he say? He said something. He said something like, "Good, and I'm glad you're having fun.
Mm-hmm.
If anything we can do for you, let me know." That's what he said. If anything I can do, let me know. I said, "Sure enough, you'll be the first to know." And he sat with Bob. He put my table right next to his table. And we also had two other people from the acquaintances from work, So we had our table. So, but it goes to show you, it goes to show you that's what discrimination is. It's ignorance. That's all it is.
Right.
It's ignorance. It is ignorance. It's nothing else. And as far as Yolanda and I, you see, her family, she had the same issue that I have. We have two houses. One side is dark and the other one is white. Dominicans, no matter what, they have somebody dark in the family for some reason, because it's avoidable. We mix.
Right.
We mix. And unless you're a very bad person, then. But if that's the problem. That's not the issue. Not the issue. Even though I can tell you that Yolanda's brother, two of them did not come to our wedding because they were not in agreement.
Wow.
Two of them, yeah, they were not in agreement. But the other ones, yeah, they came in. So, and then after we got married, they became my brothers.
Either way, regardless of how they felt. So
yeah. So what they missed, no, that's their problem.
right.
But they did not like me. But did they show up by not coming to the wedding? But I don't think it was because of my color. I'm gonna say no, that was not because of that. But everybody else was there.
All right.
Everybody was there. So anyway. So don't keep quiet. Tell me, or if not, then we say goodbye.
Shaney, I'm out of questions. I've just enjoyed sitting back and listening. I think it's been great.
Me too. I ain't got nothing to say.
Okay. You guys you get in an interview. You have to come up with something, but you did come with a lot of things.
We had a couple. We had a couple every now and again. So.
Okay. Well, I'm glad that I was able to share my experiences with you and your fans and your audience. And if anybody has any questions, please, you can either send me remarks through your website, and I'll be glad to answer some questions. But again, to surmise, I cannot tell you that I've been directly discriminated or whatever. I had incidents. But it's just people that those people are. What are you gonna do? Right. That was not actually. It's something that could happen to anyone.
Right.
But it was not like direct discrimination. No. Yeah. But anyway, so I thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely.
To share, and I wish you good luck, guy.
Thank you so much. Thank you for coming. I appreciate it. I love listening. I know what. As long as and it's been hard, of course, because you live in New York, I live in Pennsylvania, and it's been this way for my entire life. So, there's not a lot of times that I've gotten a chance to hear a lot of these stories. So even though you're my grandpa, there's a lot that I don't know, and so I appreciate you coming on today and joining the show, and I'll definitely have to come visit and just sit and listen to more stories because I had a great time.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you. Thanks, Pop.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Take care.
Take care.
Bye. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Bye.
How do you turn this off?
I'll kick you out.
Oh, okay.
All right. Bye, Pop.
Bye-bye. Take care, guys. By the way, how's your father?
He's good. He's good. He's home. He was just with his parents for the last couple of days. He just came home, like he was home just before 2:00. He got home, so
Okay.
he's good.
How's he look?
He looks good.
Yeah.
When I came home, he was just in bed, so
Okay.
he was resting. So, but he seems fine. So,
All right. Take care.
all right, bye.
Bye-bye.
I'm in need of ¿cómo se dice? ¿Cómo se dice? $65.
Me too. So,
I'll take 59 if you can.
Yeah.
I need a new controller, so
Another new controller? This guy's a bum, bro.
no. Not another new controller. All right. Your controller it's deficiencies. And it's just like it wasn't the best,
Listen, I have I have another one.
I had my
Keep
own, and then
talking.
this happened to it.
You broke it? Let me see. Oh, this guy. Here, I'll give you this one. If you're okay with not having analog stick. Oh, hold on, not that one. That one's really chewed up.
Nope. Your mic is
On the computer. I know. I realized that afterwards. So there's this one. Yeah, this is perfectly fine. The only thing this analog stick just needs a new cover. But other than that, it works fine. It's great. Because a dog got to it. So see, there you go. You just take that off and it'd be great. All right.
Because this one didn't have it either. Can't see it black, but yeah, I didn't have it.
So let's keep going.
About it, for me.
Let's you and the light, the whole episode, the light. All right, let's finish this episode. I think it was a great interview. We heard a lot of great stories. I know I had a good time listening. It's true. Like I really have not heard a lot of these stories before, so it was very interesting to see like new experiences and new points of view. Huh?
Are you sure it works?
Cheney, I'm trying to keep going with the episode. We could talk about this later.
I'm just trying to get her, you know what I'm saying?
This guy. All right. So we're going to end the show with our favorite segment, You Think You Know. And because we've spent a lot of this episode hearing about identity, kind of, and we've heard a lot about Hispanicness and all that kind of stuff, today's You Think You Know is very special. Today, Cheney is going to be a contestant on You Think You Know Puerto Rico. So if this is new to you as an audience, let me explain how this game works. You Think You Know is a game that we've developed. It's a trivia game where I will ask Cheney 15 questions and he will have 30 seconds to answer those questions. And his job is to try and obviously get them right within those 30 seconds. I will only take his first answer. So whatever he says is what I got to take. He can take as much or as little of that 30 seconds as he needs. But yeah, so that's how the game works. And so today, Cheney, all of your questions are about Puerto Rico. You being born in La Isla, you should be well prepared to answer all these questions. So
I wouldn't say all that. It's also been a couple of years since I was in La Isla.
Yeah. But we'll just trust that you're gonna do all right. All right. So some of these questions are multiple choice. Some of them are not. Again, your time will start once I finish reading. If it's multiple choice, the end of the last question. So, are you ready?
Yeah.
All right, Cheney, what are you doing with your stupid light?
This is my ring light.
All right, here we go. Question numero uno. Question number one. This is a multiple choice question. In what year was Puerto Rico discovered by Europeans? Was it 1490, 1495, 1942, or 1493?
There's a lot of 1400s there, and then
A lot of
119
1400s. This is true. That should tell you something.
that it is the 19th. I'm kidding. No.
1490, 1495, 1942, or 1493?
93.
Are you sure? It doesn't matter whether you're sure or not, because your time is up,
not,
and that's your first answer.
Yeah.
That is correct. Puerto Rico was discovered
you said
in 1493.
whatever, and 95. I was like, I'm gonna go in between. Hopefully, it's that one.
Well, it worked. So you're 1 for 1. Number 2. What was the name that was given to the capital city of Puerto Rico? Let me read how this question is written. Okay. What name, another multiple choice question, what name was given to the capital city by the Spanish? Was it San Juan, Puerto Rico, Patillas, or Caguas? What name was given to the capital city by the Spanish? San Juan, Puerto Rico, Patillas, or Caguas?
San Juan?
That is incorrect.
Are they talking like about the whole thing, like what they name it?
Yeah, the name of the capital city. The country's capital city.
The country's capital city?
Correct.
So
well, not the country.
Well,
so
yeah.
Here's your story. The original name of the island of Puerto Rico was San Juan, and the capital was Puerto Rico.
And then they flipped
then they flipped it. So the original capital by the Spanish when they were there was Puerto Rico, and then it eventually changed.
Ain't nobody say none of this. Nobody said this to me in my life.
I didn't know it either till I started doing the research. So
that's so crazy.
All right, question number 3. This is another multiple choice question. A lot of these are multiple choice. Which of the following best describes Puerto Rico? Is it a U.S. Commonwealth?
Oh, go. Yeah.
A republic, a U.S. state, or a kingdom?
A Commonwealth.
That is correct. With 3 seconds, you did great. 3 seconds. So you are 2 for 3, 67%. You're doing great.
It's not terrible.
Not terrible at all. You're doing well, sir. Question number 4. Puerto Rico is part of which island group? Is it the Greater Antilles, the Bermuda Islands, the Lesser Antilles, or the Lucayan Archipelago? I forget how to pronounce that name all the time. Hold on, let me look it up so I don't look that dumb. Archipelago. That's what it is. Archipelago. So don't worry about it. It's a fancy word. So is Puerto Rico part of the Greater Antilles, the Bermuda Islands, the Lesser Antilles, or the Lucayan Archipelago, whatever the word is?
That one sounds cool, so I'm gonna say archipelago.
And you'd be wrong. The name of the islands is the Greater Antilles. The Greater Antilles. Don't know what Antilles means, but that's what it's called.
Do you know like what other islands or whatever combined with that?
I'm thinking that would be Cuba, the Dominican Republic.
So all that. So that's what it's called technically, like, and not the
area. So here it is. Well, I think the island or that whole section is the Caribbean, and then this is a sub-region inside of the Caribbean. So it says,
okay, that makes sense.
The Greater Antilles is a grouping of larger islands in the Caribbean Sea, including Cuba, the Dominican Republic, Haiti, Puerto Rico, and Jamaica, and the Cayman Islands. So all of those as a group are called the Greater Antilles, and then it's all inside of the Caribbean.
Interesting.
Yeah. 2 for 4.
I'm okay
Question-
getting these questions wrong because like I'll learn
Yeah,
and I'm okay. I'm all right.
This whole episode is all about education. We're doing great. Question number 5, another multiple choice question. During the early 1900s, Puerto Rico was one of the major producers of which crop? Onion, corn, sugar, or potato? During the early 1900s, Puerto Rico was one of the major producers of which crop? Onion, corn, sugar, or potato? Fifteen seconds.
I don't know if I'm gonna pull an Aubyn. I want to say sugar, but I also want to say corn. Could be wrong.
You got 5 seconds to figure it out.
Sugar.
Sugar is correct.
Oh, thank
Your connection is really bad, by the way. You're really being a robot right now.
I know. It says your internet connection is unstable. So yeah.
Well, we're gonna try and get through these next 10 questions and hope for the best. All right. This is not a multiple choice question because there's 5 choices. I guess it is multiple choice, but I'm not gonna read you the choices. Question number 6.
okay.
You're 3 for 5. Puerto Rico is located in which ocean? So there are only 5 oceans in the world, so you got 5 to choose from. You just have to know the names of them. I'm not reading them. 30 seconds.
Yeah, the Atlantic, bro.
That is correct. It's like, technically this is multiple choice, but there's literally only 5 choices possible, so I'm not reading them to you. All right. You are 4 for 6. 4 for 6. All right, question number 7. You ready?
Yes.
Which indigenous tribe did the Spaniards find in Puerto Rico? Were they the Sioux, the Araucos, the Taínos, or the Mayans?
The Taínos.
That is correct. 5 for 7. You're doing great.
Oh,
This
my
might be your
Taínos.
listen. All we need to do is ask you questions about Puerto Rico, and you're doing great. You might have the best score ever. Okay. Question number 8. You are 5 for 7. Another multiple choice question, although you will probably know it right away just by the question. What is the name of Puerto Rico's rainforest? Do you need multiple choice? Okay.
The Yunque.
The El Yunque is correct. Good. 6 for 8. Question number 9. What is the national anthem of Puerto Rico? Is it La Boriqueña, Verde Luz, El Jibarito, or La Tierra del Mar y el Sol?
La Tierra del Mar y el Sol.
You're doing great. You're on a roll. That is incorrect. The national anthem of Puerto Rico is La Boriqueña. La Boriqueña.
I had a feeling it's gonna be that, but I was like,
have you ever heard it?
I think that's part.
I don't know what it sounds like.
Yeah. It's like La Tierra del Boriquen, donde nacido yo, and a bunch of other stuff.
It's very catchy. You did a great job. All right, you are 6 for 9. So still doing good. All right, question number 10. What country has the same flag as Puerto Rico, but with the colors inverted? Is it Cuba, Haiti, Dominican Republic, or Mexico?
Cuba.
Cuba is correct. I didn't know if you would need the multiple choice for that, so I just was throwing it out there.
Yeah, our where the star is, ours is blue and the stripes are red, but theirs is red and the stripes are blue.
It's literally the exact same flag. It's just, well, it's like in South America. I don't know how much you know about. I really like flags. I like looking at them. I can get a lot of countries just by their flag. In South America, Ecuador, Colombia, and Venezuela all have like the exact same flag. The yellow, the red, and the blue.
Yeah.
Literally 2 of them are exactly the same. I think it's Venezuela and Colombia are exactly the same, just with the one has the little coat of arms in the middle and the other doesn't. And then the other one, which I guess would be Ecuador, I'm not sure if it's one of those 3, is like instead of the big yellow bar and then the 2 smaller red and blue ones, it's like they're all even, yellow, red, and blue. But they're literally the exact same flag. So Anyway, question number 11. You are 7 for 10. Question number 11. Which of the following music styles originated in Puerto Rico? Was it cumbia, salsa, flamenco, or bomba?
Salsa.
No, that is incorrect. Salsa actually originated in New York.
Wait, really?
Yeah. I think it was Puerto Ricans in New York,
but it was in New York.
It was in New York. Yeah.
What was
cumbia is from Colombia. Salsa from New York. Flamenco is from Spain, and then bomba is from Puerto Rico.
Oh, bomba! I knew that. I just didn't understand. Oh, okay.
That's
knew
right. It's probably my fault.
I was like, what the heck is? It's either bomba or bomba, and I was like, But now it makes sense because I know what bomba is.
Okay.
Okay.
Question. You are 7 for 11, I think.
Yes.
Okay. Hey, you gotta get this, all 4 of these next questions right to get 11 out of 15. So just to beat our average score. Question number 12. Not a multiple choice question because you're going to be able to answer as soon as I finish the question. What is the name of the frog that can only be found in Puerto Rico?
Coqui.
The only thing I know about the coqui is that song from Dora. There's a whole episode about the coqui, and she just coqui, kiki. I remember that from my childhood. That stupid song. So that's correct. You are 8 for 12. Next question number 13. San Juan is home to the largest rum distillery in the world. What is the name of that rum brand? Is it Bacardi, Captain Morgan, El Dorado, or Don Q?
Bacardi.
That is correct. Did you know that?
I did.
Alcoholic.
Isn't the thing on Bacardi?
What? The distillery?
Like that tower thingy-majigger?
No, Cheney, I don't be drinking like that. So, you know what I'm saying?
You lying ass.
It ain't even like that.
He don't be drinking.
See, you sound like my mother. I don't even be drinking like that. Chill. It is like a bat, I think, the picture on the Bacardi label. I can't really tell what it is.
It's like a bat, yeah.
Yeah, it is. That's literally what it is. The word bat in Spanish is such a fun word. Murciélago. Such a fun word.
I like that word.
Lamborghini.
It sounds so cool.
So one of my students asked me yesterday what my favorite English word was. And I was going to tell him Spanish word too, but it's hard. I like a lot of words. One of my favorite Spanish words are 2. 1, cacahuete.
That's why
I don't know why that's why my Animal Crossing. Yep. It's one of my favorites. Also, the word for peach, of those 2 words for peach, but the one is really fun. Melocotón. It's just a great word.
Melocotón.
That's what the word. It's just fun. The other word is durazno, is also how they say peach. But anyway,
I've never heard any of those, to be honest.
All right, you are 9 for 13, I think. So this is question number 14. This is multiple choice, so listen carefully. What is the national dish of Puerto Rico? Is it mofongo, lechon asado, alcapurrias, or arroz con gandules?
Can I say yes? Like what?
When I was doing this, trying to find another question, it's like these are the top 5. Well, there's another one that I skipped, but these are the top 5 foods in Puerto Rico. But only one of those 4 that I just read you is the national dish. So is it mofongo, lechon asado, alcapurrias, or arroz con gandules? 3 seconds.
Because lechon asado is technically pernil, and that's what we all eat. Because that's freaking. And then alcapurrias, a big thing. Arroz con gandule that is the biggest like Christmas thing. What was the mofongo?
Mofongo was the other one. Your time is up, so I'm gonna need an answer.
It is. Are you sure I can't say yes?
Yes, I'm sure you cannot say yes.
Yes. Okay, I'll go with yes. All right, I'll say Mofongo.
That is incorrect. That is incorrect. The correct answer.
You can't do that to me. Do you?
I'm just going by what it said on Google. So take it up with whoever started Google. I don't have the answer for
Look, excuse my French, everyone, but nah, fuck that.
you. The correct answer, the national dish of Puerto Rico, is arroz con gandules.
So you're telling me I pulled it open? That's what you're telling me.
That is what you're telling me. That is what yes, I'm telling you. I mean, you're 11 for 4. I'm sorry, you are 9 for 14. Got to get this one to at least stay at the average. Question number 15. And you think you know Puerto Rico. What is the nickname of Puerto Rico? Is it the Island of Enchantment, the Pearl of the Antilles, the Land of the Hummingbird, or the Old Colony?
Where the hell we got a hummingbird from? La Isla del Encanto, papá.
I didn't think you were going to get that one. That is correct. The Island of Enchantment. That is correct.
Island, like Isla del Encanto.
I was hoping because one of the questions said something about the Antilles is a greater, like you would go for the Pearl of the Antilles, which is actually the nickname of Cuba. The Land of the Hummingbird, I forget what that was.
What does this look like? Oh, that's Mockingjay. Never mind. Would have been wrong anyways.
And then the Old Colony I stole from, I think, is Maine.
Wait, what was that hummingbird one?
The Land of the Hummingbird.
Trinidad?
Oh, Trinidad and Tobago. That's right. Yep. I just was looking for random stuff. So you got it. 10 for 15. Not as bad as the fast food episode because the answers were not McDonald's. No. But you're average. You were just average. You were average in your knowledge of Puerto Rico.
I should have gotten a bomba and I should have gotten a fucking arroz con
bro. You're right, but you didn't. So oh, well, this has been another episode of AfroLatinos. Very informative and still a lot of fun at the same time. So make sure you check us out wherever digital podcasts can be found. Apple Podcast, Spotify, Anchor, all of the above. Check us out on Facebook and on our YouTube page at AfroLatinos. We got some really exciting collaborations coming up. Really, really exciting things that we're going to be having some new content for you guys. So without further ado, this has been another episode of AfroLatinos with your co-host, Aubyn.
And Chandler.
Peace out, y'all.